Today's video is going to be a little bit different. We had some really bad weather come through yesterday. You're not hearing me? You're not hearing me? Can you hear me? Can they hear me? Can you hear me now? I'm hearing something. Oh. Let me pull it up on the TV here. Let me pull it up. You hear me? Okay. Okay. So today's video is going to be just a little bit different. We had a bad storm come through yesterday, really bad. If you've been watching the news, watching the weather, it was really bad here yesterday. High winds, tornado warnings. We didn't have any tornadoes around here. I didn't hear of any tornadoes touch down, but they were pretty bad around here. So everything is really wet. It was blowing so hard, even my covered arena is wet. But we're getting ready to leave to go to a show. Today is bathing day. We have a routine before we go to shows. And I'll be showing Bob. If you've been following Bob along, this will be his first show in quite a few years. He's only been shown twice before in his life. And this will be the first one in 4 or 5 years. I'm trying to bring up the channel on the TV over here so I can see the comments as they come through. So because of all the rain, the bad weather, we're gonna be here in the wash rack today, and we're gonna talk about getting a horse ready to show, and we're going to talk about the routine that I have. We'll talk about Bob. We'll talk about whatever questions you have, and we'll go from there. So let's start by, if everybody that's watching, if you put in the comments where you're watching from. I'm gonna silence my phone so it don't beep the whole time. Put in the comments where you're watching from. That's always interesting for me to see. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. I want to pull it up on the TV over here so that I can see your comments. There we go. So our show is in New Roads, Louisiana, which is on the west side of the Mississippi River, just north of Baton Rouge. So coming from where I'm at, I'm in Mississippi, we'll go I-10 through Baton Rouge, which is a terrible city to drive through Baton Rouge, cross the river, and then that's probably, 25, 30 minutes north up the river. And we've got 6 horses going. Bob, Lily Rose, which I did a video of her the other day. If you've been watching a while, you'll remember her. I had her in training in 2022 and did some videos of her. We're bringing her. Raven will be showing Bug. Amy will be showing Ray Ray. Alex is the 7-year-old. She will be showing her horse. And Danny will be showing his horse. So I'll just give him a little bit of a brush. I want to de-shed him just a little bit. This is the Slick Easy that you've seen me talk about before. He's still got a little bit of long hair on him. He hasn't quite shed it out. And then I'm going to start bathing him. And as far as clipping, I want to talk a little bit about that. Some shows I go to, I will do more clipping. Sometimes I I don't do any clipping. And this show is a Louisiana stock horse show. And I don't do any clipping for those shows. I don't do any clipping for stock horse, ranch horse, any of that. And it's legal. You can clip some. You can clip some of the muzzle hair off. You're not allowed to clip the hair inside the ear. Uh, that has to be left. But usually when I go to ranch shows, I don't clip anything. When I go to cow horse shows, I'll clean up a little bit of the hair on their face. And what I'll do is I'll close the ear and clip the hair that sticks out the ear for those shows. Now, if I show NRHA, I do a full clip job. And I know people have different thoughts about clipping, especially clipping the ears. I had a horse a while back that she was always out in the pasture rubbing her ear, and to the point where her ears would get bloody. And what was happening is she would get gnats in there that would irritate her ears and make them itch, and she would rub them, and it hurt. And one thing that I found with her, and I know they say that all that hair is to protect them, and I'm sure it does give them some protection, especially to wind. But what I found with her is I could clip the hair inside the ear completely out, and then I could coat it with aloe vera or something to help soothe it. And when I did that, she actually got a lot happier. So the thought about not clipping the hair in the ear because of it giving some protection, I don't totally buy into. I think there's probably something to it, but for that particular horse, she liked it better when her ears were clipped, and I kept her clipped the whole time so that I could medicate them. And what I would do is I would take something like aloe vera and then swat, which is a bug repellent, and mix it together and put that in her ears, and she was really happy with that. So what I want to do here is I'm just kind of shedding some of this hair off, and then I'm going to start bathing him. If you've got any questions that you want to ask, just put them in the comments, and we'll cover as many questions as we can. We're primarily talking about showing today, but we'll answer whatever questions you have. If you haven't been following Bob, Bob is 15, and I owned him when he was young, had him in training to be a reining horse, and he never really worked out. Just wasn't enough horse. Something I could tell just wasn't right. And I ended up selling him. And a few years ago, I bought him back. And since then, I found the immune builder that I put him on. We'll probably put a link in the comments after we get done with the video. I put him on that immune builder, and he's like a totally different horse. I had more horse to work with. And kind of one of the strange things about him, I don't know that I've mentioned this in a video. Before, it was like he had no pain receptors. Like he felt no pain about anything. I've seen a horse taking, I think he bit him right here on the shoulder, bit him, grabbed the skin and pulled it way out. Well, of course, not that far, but pulled it out, and Bob just stood there. I've seen a horse kick at him and make a mark, and Bob would just stand there. It's like he didn't have any pain receptors, and which was really odd. I've never had a horse like that before. But since I put him on the immune builder, he acts like a normal horse again. He'll show a little bit of pain if somebody bites him. If he gets a cut, he'll act like it gets a little sore. He's gotten a little bit mouthy since putting him on the immune builder, which I'm not too crazy about, but we'll work with it, because if that's the only downfall, the only negative, that far outweighs all of the good. Let the water run just a little bit and warm up. I do have warm water here. It's probably 65 degrees this morning. We've had highs in the 80s, and after that bad storm that come through, it dropped the temperature a couple degrees. We got a couple trees down in the pastures. Nothing on a fence. Nothing too bad. My electric tape in the back is not working. It wasn't working this morning. I need to see what's going on with it. I don't know how much wind we had, but it was a lot. It was blowing so hard it was blowing the rain all the way through my covered arena. It was blowing out of the east, which this is east, and it was blowing all the way through my covered arena. I don't see any comments on the TV. Let's see if I can bring them up. See if I can see them.
I don't see questions yet, just comments.
Okay.
Somebody said you're leaving half of Bob on the floor.
Yeah. Huh. Not sure on. Maybe that's it. Yeah, I've tried to. I've been working on shedding him out. He don't have too much left. There we go. He don't have too much left to shed out. That's Saber on that side, and that's Woody on that side. If you see him peek over, it's funny. I had a new Arabian come in the other day, which that video will be out tomorrow. Me doing some groundwork. He was not good, but that video will be out, and it's going to be a little bit different because I wore a GoPro on with a chest harness, so you can see me working from my point of view, and he was bad. He charged at me, tried to kick at me, tried to bite me. That was the second time I worked him since he'd been here. So he makes the third Arabian that I've got here, and about the fourth or fifth black horse here. I don't get a whole bunch of black horses. He's I think the fourth black horse. Really, really good looking Arabian. But he's here to be started. His name is Phantom. He's here to be started, and you'll see that all the way through the process. It went away really quick.
I have been trying to find the swivel for high tying. Any suggestions? I live in Ontario.
You've been looking for the swivel for tying up high. You live in Ontario. The one that I use, I just bought in the local hardware store right here close. Not really sure. And there it goes. Not really sure why that would be hard to find. I don't really know. Any place that sells like chain and shackles and stuff like that. That would all work.
Tim have a older horse, 16, multi-bred, green growth, but compliant, very mellow. Can't get him to take left lead.
Older horse, 16 hands or 16 years old?
It just says probably 16 years old because it's older horse, 16, halter.
Okay.
Green growth, but compliant.
So most likely when you can't get a horse to take a certain lead, you need two things. You need the shoulders to bend over. Which lead he's having trouble getting? Left lead. Okay, so left lead, you need the shoulders to go to the right so you can get some left bend, and you need engagement in the hip to push forward. So usually if you can't get a lead, you're either not getting the shoulders over or you're not getting engagement in the back. Halter bred horse, you could be looking at some physical issue like we had with the Palomino mare that I had here. Some sort of physical issue. Or you could just be looking at needing to build up some muscle. A lot of times when you have a horse that don't want to take a certain lead, you have where the horse, especially an older horse, his muscles have kind of developed taking the lead that he wants. So I would look at his shoulders, maybe see if one side's maybe not more developed than the other side. But basically, for a lead departure, you need two things: shoulders over and engagement in the back. I did a video, it's been a good while ago, with horse was named Kate. She was a blue roan, and she was doing the same thing. She didn't want to take one lead. If you could find that video, you'll see how I worked through it. I actually got her to take that lead by doing a rollback against the fence, and that got her started taking that lead. And then once she got where she would take it, then I was able to develop that muscle, develop the muscles for that lead. Hey. No, I was getting his attention.
How old is Phantom?
So Phantom just turned 4.
Tim, do you always do groundwork first when you get a new horse?
Do I always do groundwork first when I get a new horse? Not necessarily. It really depends on the horse, because normally I have an idea what has been done with the horse. And normally just taking that horse, putting a halter on him and leading him here or leading him out there, I'm going to know how that horse behaves ground manners wise. I'm going to know how he, just in general, that horse's attitude. And I can tell pretty quick if the horse needs groundwork or not. If it needs groundwork, I'll do it. And sometimes, depending on the horse and what the horse needs, when it first comes in, I might see that there's an area in the groundwork that needs to be improved, but I might just kind of make a mental note of that and then go on and work the horse and see what else needs to be improved on the horse. I'm not a big fan of doing days of groundwork before I ever get in the saddle with a horse that I know is broke, and I know that the owner has told me about riding issues that they've had. Hey, come on in. Put her in the stall I got Bob out of. You're going to be live.
Was my backing up live?
Was it live? Well, it was live, but just not on camera. That was Amy and Ray Ray. She's bringing Ray Ray here to get ready for the show. We'll get her bay later today, and she's going to leave her horse trailer so we can get it packed up. Me and her is going to ride together. Ray Ray and Bob will ride together to the show.
This is a big question. How do you help a student who gets anxious showing horses?
How do I help a student that gets anxious showing horses? That's a good. Well, Amy turned her head and looked at me. Me and Amy have had lots of conversations. In fact, what she does, yeah, you left your shirt here yesterday, your sweatshirt. So what she does is actually really common. It's what all people do. You get nervous in the show pen, and you practice at home, and it gets good at home, and you get the show pen, and your nerves take over, and it doesn't go in the show like it goes at home. So the best way to get over those show pen nerves is to show. And Amy is showing in 8 classes on Saturday and 8 classes on Sunday. Her and her horse are going to be tired, but it's that show time, that arena time, that gets your mind where you can think about riding your horse. Think about riding your horse and not get nervous about it. You just keep doing it over and over and over, and those show nerves go away. And that's something that everybody has to go through. everybody has to get over being nervous, and there's no magic answer to get over being nervous. You just have to do it and do it over and over and over, just repetition. And that's what Amy's at today. Amy's the horse that she's showing. I trained this really nice horse. I showed an open and a really good horse. And Amy's a really good rider, but she gets in the pen and gets nervous, just like everybody else that doesn't have a lot of show experience. So basically, it's just arena time. It's show time. The more you do it, the better you get. And that's where you need to just go to shows. It don't even have to be sanctioned shows. It can be local shows. And you need to go in that arena and ride your horse. Ride like you show, practice like you show like you practice, so that those nerves just go away. I see so many people that are really good riders with really good horses, but they just can't get their horse shown because they just haven't practiced showing. They haven't done it enough. No magic answer. That's just it. Just got to show. So I'm sure Amy will be wore out and her horse will be wore out, but they're both going to be better for it. Know where I left my shampoo? There we go.
You have a question. Do
Okay.
you have a raised hand or assistant to take care of the horses while you were out of town for the show?
Yeah, I've got.
Repeat the question.
Okay. Do I have somebody to take care of the horses while I'm out of town for a show? Basically, my everyday routine, I have somebody feed and clean stalls and take care of the stalls every day anyways. I try to work it as a business as far as their job is to keep me on a horse. So I'll supervise the horses getting fed, stalls getting clean, all that kind of thing. But I'm not physically the one that does it every day. So the same people that feed every other day will be feeding this weekend. And it works out good that way for quite a few reasons. There's not a different person feeding over the weekend. And they're used to the horses, how they act, how they eat. They'll recognize if somebody's off their feed. They'll recognize if somebody's not acting right. They know the horses. So that's the best way that quit. That's the best way that I have found. It's funny because before I started him on the Mule Builder, he would stand here with no personality, like he come off Willie Nelson's tour bus. Now he's got personality. He's doing these things that he just never did before.
Someone wants to know what's the spray bottle you use for the side.
Spray for the.
That soap, I guess.
Oh yeah, for the soap.
You use for the side.
Basically, this is Veteran Foam Care. It's basically just a foaming soap. It's really you put it on, you leave it, and rinse it off. You're not supposed to have to brush it, but I do. That's just the type of soap I use.
There's a comment with, I guess, a question. 8 classes, that seems like a lot for one day with one horse. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it is a lot. But Amy's going to step up and do it. She's behind the camera. She's just smiling. She smiled at that question because she thinks it's a lot too, which it is a lot. But the thing about it, I know the horse can do it. The horse, in fact, we had the same routine at the last show. Amy showed the same classes and learned a lot from it. And Ray did good. But Ray is a really high energy horse. And honestly, it's about the 3rd class before she really starts to get her mind in the game too. So, and a lot of horses that have been shown a good bit, like Ray, and just about every horse that's been shown a good bit, they know when they're being shown. And they're not the same horse in the show pen that they are when you're practicing at home. And Ray is one of them. She's not the same horse. So in order for Amy to really practice riding that horse, got to do it in the show pen. Ray Ray's a pretty seasoned horse. She's got her little tricks that she plays in the show pen, like any other seasoned horse. And we can't really practice those at home because she don't do them at home. She does them at the show. So, in addition to Amy getting the show time, the practice, the arena time, she learned how to do that too. And I'm looking forward to it. I think they're both going to have a good show.
Notice Bob calling the air, not everybody wants to eat, the reason why.
He's just bored. He wants to do something. He's just bored. Really no reason. He gets rinsed a lot, but he don't get bathed a lot. So he thinks he's been standing tight here long enough. He's just bored, ready to go do something else.
This may be a longer question. How do you structure your horse business so you can stay on a horse and show, etc.?
So how do I structure my horse business so I can stay on a horse and show, etc.? Basically, I try to have it set up so that I'm working a horse 8 hours a day. And as much that I can delegate that's not me on a horse, I try to delegate. Some of it I can. A lot of when you send me messages or emails, that's me answering those emails. So I do all that myself. But somebody else is doing the feeding, the cleaning stalls. Melinda does most of the video editing. And that's pretty much it. You just try to be, like with any business, you try to be smart about how you manage your time. And then whether it's horse training or no matter what business you run, it's still a business. You got to run it that way. Run it like a business. I have a lot of people talk to me and say, I want to be a horse trainer. I said, well, the first thing you need to do is you need to go to college and get a business degree. You can go ride with a trainer and learn how to train a horse. But horse training is a business, and it helps to have a business degree to learn how to run a business, just like any other business. This is kind of a quick bath.
Ready for another question?
Yeah.
I know you've shown Arabian. Do you find that they last longer competitively than the stock horse breed? I know in the present world, the open horses are rarely shown past the age.
Okay, and do I see Arabians shown longer than the stock horse classes? And they said they know in the cutting horse world, they rarely see aged cutting horses. So a lot of that is the classes that you look at. There are plenty 20-year-old horses that shows in every show, in every association. There's 20-year-old cutting horses. There's 20-year-old reining horses. 20-year-old Arabians. It's not uncommon as people think. But they're not showing in the open. That's the difference. People look at the open classes, and that's what they're basing everything on. And that skews your perception just drastically. Usually when we're riding, I'll put on YouTube, and I can't think of the name of the channel. It's sports broadcasting something that I'll put on here, and basically all they're doing, they video horse shows, and they'll put the whole horse show up. And I like to put up the green rider, the non-pro. That's where you need to be looking. You need to be looking at those classes, not the open, because those classes are where those older horses are. It's not that they're not shown. They're just not shown in the open. For an open horse to compete at that level, you have to keep that horse tuned up at a pretty high level for a long time. That is hard on the horse. And for open riders, really, again, from a business point of view, as a trainer, you're training the horse to send it down the road. You rarely, you'll see me show like Hank several years in a row, but you rarely see open riders showing horses multiple years in a row because business-wise, they're training the horse for the horse to be sold and moved on to go to non-pro or amateur, green rider, whatever. And if you watch the shows like the Greatest Horseman, World's Greatest Horseman competition, the Run for the Million, all those shows that those open riders are showing, there's not every horse that's in there is an aged horse, and most of those riders are riding one of their clients' horses, and there's plenty of aged horses out there. But you got to look. You're not going to see many open riders showing aged events. Aged horses long. It's just the nature of the business. We've got Flash that's gone with us this weekend. That's Alex's horse. I think he's 19. I believe Danny's horse is 16 or 17. Bob is 15. Ray's 8, I believe. Bug is 5. So most of the horses we're taking this weekend are teenagers. Only 2 of the 6 are less than 10. So there's plenty there's plenty of older horses out there. You just got to look.
The one with the racing, he said, I understand about pros, but really I wanted to know how Arab lasts as a breed compared to stock horse breeds.
As far as Arabians lasting as breeds compared to stock horse breeds, honestly, I don't see much difference. Any horse is going to last as good as the care that horse has been given. If that horse has been cared for its whole life and treated right, they're going to last a long time. Now, as far as a breed that I think does last longer than other breeds is Mustangs. But the problem with that is, you need to push back around. The problem with that is Mustangs really aren't shown to a very high level usually. So you're kind of comparing apples and oranges.
Raven's correcting me.
Raven's
4.
Raven's correcting me. Bug is 4. Okay. Bug is 4. Raven, you've seen her in quite a few videos. She's my right hand here. If I'm laying in the hospital and can't speak, she could keep everything going here. She knows as much about what goes on here as I do. All right, Bob, let's get this rinsed out.
You have an interesting comment too about I wanted to thank you for the bit video. I bought the basic 40 bit. My first ride with it was yesterday. Never thought a bit would make such a difference. And then she says, lady was so much more collected and calm with the bits than video.
Oh, that was a very nice compliment.
Gail is her name.
What was your name? Gail?
Gail.
Thank you, Gail. Bits are huge. And the problem with everybody's thinking is back over the last 20 years, all these clinicians have been traveling around the country and putting everybody at these clinics in snaffle bits. And what they were doing was not wrong. They were doing what was right because the riders' hands weren't good. So that's the bit that the horse needed because the rider needed to learn. But the part that never got advanced past there is when the rider got better, what to do as far as bits. So that's why there's so much that goes on about so much anti-leverage bits, and people just need to just be educated, and that's what I'm trying to do. All of those clinics back then had a lot of really good basic stuff in them that everybody needed at the time. It wasn't wrong. It wasn't wrong information, and it was the right information at the right time. But what has happened since then, the equestrian world has seen all of that, and the general ability of everybody has gotten better. So now that everybody's abilities have gotten better, it's time to go ahead and step up and increase everything. Make all your horsemanship better. And bits is an area. Bits is a big part of that.
I would like to know what brand detangler do you suggest for the mane and tail?
What brand detangler? That's a good question, Ty. So, and there's a funny story. This is what I use. It's called Olive Miracle Oil Moisturizing Lotion. And I buy it at the dollar store in town. And I am sure these girls at the dollar store wonder what this man is doing coming in here buying all these hair products. I normally use just dollar store shampoo, but I'm out. And then I buy the ponytail holders and that detangler. I also buy some stuff in the ethnic hair section. So I'm sure them girls at the dollar store really scratch their head when I come in. So that's what I use. There's other stuff out there. I don't use Shoshin, Cowboy Magic, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's good stuff. I just think it's just way overpriced. And I think there's just as good of stuff that you can get a little bit cheaper. You get these shavings brushed out of your tail. Yeah.
My horse picks up it correctly, but cross cancers in one direction more often than not. Is that a condition problem?
Horse picks up the correct lead, but crossfires more often in one direction than not. Is it a condition problem? Most likely, yes. Most likely, your horse isn't engaging in the back end good, isn't scoring the shoulder over good when you ask for the canter. When you go to ask for the canter, your horse should let you set their body up for the lead you're asking for, and then smooch or use your seat to lope off. And what you're getting is most often caused when your horse is loping off before you have the body set up. So make sure the body is set up, and if the horse is setting the body up, and by setting up, I mean pushing the shoulder up out of the way and engaging the hip into the lead. If your horse is setting up, then it's a condition problem.
The dressage world stays in snaffle bits for such a long time. What is your opinion on the dressage?
Yeah.
Dressage process?
So the dressage world stays in snaffle bits for so long. What is my opinion about that? So that's actually not a true statement. If you go to the more upper level dressage, they're going to be two reined with a leverage bit and a snaffle bit, double bridled, and they're getting basically the best of both worlds. They're using a snaffle and they're using the leverage. So that is actually not a true statement when you advance a dressage horse. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about as you advance, you need to go into leverage bit. You watch Grand Prix horses, Grand Prix dressage, upper level dressage, third level, fourth level, you're going to see a lot of leverage bits. And even a lot of the horses that are shown in a snaffle bit, I bet you that they're ridden in a leverage bit at home. They're not just staying in that snaffle bit. And in the Western world, let's say you're talking about a snaffle bit class, let's say an NRHA snaffle bit class, and they're showing these horses in a snaffle bit. That horse has been schooled in a leverage bit by that time. Every person that I know of that shows aged event snaffle horses, when that horse shows in that class, that horse already knows how to be ridden in a leverage bit. It goes back to when you're training a horse, you're asking for more and then reinforcing the basics. Then it goes back to that. When you go to a show, you're basically going to get 80% of what you got at home. So you're going to have already worked that horse in that leverage bit. So a lot of people's perceptions about the dressage world, snaffle bit, Western horses, it's not what they think it is. You go to a show and watch the horses in the warm-up pen, whether it's a Western show or an English show. And I'm talking a high-level show, not a backyard show. I'm talking about a high-level show. That's where you're really going to get educated. That's where you're really going to see what really happens. And as a trainer, when I go to these shows, that's where I want to go hang out with other trainers. That's how other trainers get better, is by doing that and being in the warm-up pen at 2:00 in the morning, riding with other trainers. I've learned more there. There's more education there than anywhere else as far as horse training in the horse world. Yeah.
2-year-old that keeps getting bit up with flies all over her leg, causing scabs. She won't keep her fly boots on. What would you suggest I do?
So, what you said, 3-year-old?
4.
4-year-old, getting flies bit up all around her legs, getting scabs, won't keep fly boots on. I'm not a big fan of fly boots or a fly mask or a fly sheet. My part of the country is so humid. You're just trading one problem for another problem. So what I do, you can, we use EquiSpot here. We've had really good luck with it. And the other thing around here, most of our problems are at sunrise and sunset. So we just do our best to have the horses in the barn or in a more cleared pasture, because usually those problems are in a more wooded pasture around here. Now, what part of the country you're in, that might vary. But EquiSpot is really good. They make some feed-through products that work. I can't remember the name of them. There are a couple feed-through products that work. And basically what that is it's something that's in the feed that the horse eats. And when the horse puts the manure out in the pasture and the flies land and try to lay eggs, the eggs don't ever hatch. Raybon, I think that was one of them. The flies don't ever hatch. So that will help your fly population. It's kind of expensive, but that will work. That will help if you're just doing 1 or 2 horses. So that's what we do. I did a video not too long ago about what we put on their ears. Basically, when we go to turn out, we put, let's see, this Endure roll-on on their ears. Basically, it's a fly spray, and it's just a roll-on. And we'll put a strip in each ear, just like that. And you can put it down their back. You can put it on their legs. Put it wherever you want. I've had good luck with that. But really, I think it all needs to start with EquiSpot. You put a couple spots down their spine, down their legs, and it absorbs into their skin. And I've had good luck with that, especially if you're in a part of the country that has a lot of ticks. That helps good with ticks too. I put some detangler in his tail. That detangler I just showed you. I just put that in his tail.
I would like to know what you do with your manure from the stalls and corrals.
Okay, what do I do with the manure from the stalls and the corrals? So we clean the stalls. I got 10 stalls, which is 5 front end loader buckets a day that we pile up over there. And then we compost it for about a year. And then we put it in a spreader and spread it out in the pasture. So we got a really big compost pile over there. I've tried spreading it straight out of the stall, and it changed my pH too much. It wasn't good for the pasture. So we compost it and then spread it. Any other questions?
Yeah. What age do you think is best to start a young horse?
What age do I think it's best to start a young horse? So this is a pretty hot topic. And my general answer is, and I'll tell you this, I will not take, I will make a few exceptions in the right case. But my general rule is I will not take a horse here to start older than 3. And the reason being is once they get older than 3, how you start them is different. And the level that you're going to get them to is different. There's Raven right there, correcting me live. So she'll be showing Bug this weekend, and I'm probably going to have her show Lily Rose in a few classes.
I'm skipping a few questions, but this looks like a good one.
Yeah, I'll try to come back. She says she's skipping a few questions. I'll try to come back afterwards and answer as many as I can.
Yeah, I would also like to know, when should I transition her to the next bit on your list? I've heard you say you only do 3 rides on a bit. Should I move up to the next bit or go back to a snaffle for a few rides?
Okay, when to transition up to the next bit? I don't ride a horse more than 3 rides in a row in the same bit. And basically, hey. Basically what that is just like before, I said, challenge higher, reinforce lower. So it's going to depend on, you're going to challenge higher in a little bit more complex bit, get more, then reinforce less. Bob agrees. And so when you're going to transfer to the next bit, it's going to be determined by when you're reinforcing lower in that more complex bit. So when I first transition a horse into a leverage bit, I might ride twice in the snaffle and once in the leverage bit for a couple of weeks, and then twice in the leverage and once in the snaffle, and then we start rotating up. And when I do away with the snaffle, I'm adding the next bit up. Every bit teaches something a little bit different as far as how for the horse to use its body. And you're not necessarily going to take every bit up to a cathedral like what I do with show horses. But if you have a horse, quit like Lily Rose, and you'll see her in the video that we recorded the other day. I think that video will be out like Saturday. I have her in a cathedral bit because of how she's carrying her body. So a lot of which bit and when is determined by your horse. I have him in a pretty tall cathedral bit because of needing to build muscle, and him being a little older and a little harder to build muscle because he's a little older. I'm using a taller bit to help that. So there's no hard and fast this many days or this many weeks. Any more questions?
Are you using special horseshoes for showing?
Am I using special horseshoes for showing? This show that we're going to, Bob is barefoot. Lily Rose she's got sliders on the back and regular shoes on the front. We really don't change anything for the shows, what we use at the shows is determined by where they're going in training. Bob's barefoot. I had shoes on him. I pulled them off. See who's making this racket. I pulled them off. With all that rain yesterday, I didn't turn everybody out, so they're tired of being in here. They all looked at me when I walked by, so they're all tired of being in here, but it's a swampy mess out there. So they're just going to have to deal with it. It's going to be kind of interesting when a couple of the horses that aren't used to being as in. That is Woody.
You have someone who asked a question. What are your thoughts on using a leverage bit? If a horse is responsive to your seat, is a leverage bit necessary?
Definitely. If a horse is responsive to your seat, leverage bit is. Okay. If a horse is responsive to your seat, is a leverage bit necessary? Yes. For the horse to use his body correctly, absolutely. Your seat is going to control parts of the horse, and I actually wrote a blog article about this not too long ago. Your seat controls parts of the horse, and the bit helps assist with those parts of the horse. And to really get roundness in the shoulders, and you'll see in the video with Lily Rose, to really get the roundness in the shoulders, the seat is only half of it. The bit is the other half. And to get the horse correct, it takes a leverage bit. And you see it in Western horses, you see it in upper level dressage horses. It's the same thing. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about the clinicians over the last 20 years always putting everybody in the snaffle bit. It wasn't for the horse. It was for the horse because the rider had bad hands. To progress the horse, you progress the bit. The video I have coming out Saturday is Lily Rose, and I have a cathedral on her, and I'm trotting and loping her around on a loose rein, letting her get her body out of frame, and then I'm gathering my reins up and using that bit to help her get her body like it's supposed to be. And it's an obvious difference in the videos. When I have her on a loose rein, she's not striding good. She's short striding in the front. She's actually kicking up a lot of dirt with all her legs because she's just kind of dragging them along. Where when I take her up with the leverage bit and round her like she needs to be, and round her with the bit and with my legs, you'll see she picks her legs up a lot better, and she's using the back muscles a lot better, and she doesn't kick up as much dirt when she's moving. So the answer to the question is yes. To get the horse to move correctly, you're going to need a leverage bit. And that's why a lot of people think English riders is always snaffle bits, and that's not true. Upper level dressage, they're double bridled, and they use leverage bits too.
I want to know what's a cathedral bit. I've never heard of that before.
What's a cathedral bit? So basically, I'm East Coast. I think Ty's West Coast. Cathedral bit is going to be a taller bit that puts more palate pressure. And it's a much more complex bit. I'm trying to think of the term that's used out there. I use the term cathedral. It's tall. And I can't think of the name of it, but most of the riding out west that goes back to the Spanish spade. Well, spade, that's another term. That's another word for the same bit. Yeah. So there's several words for the same bit. Yeah. And it just depends on what you're doing in different parts of the country. So yeah, what I call a cathedral, it's a taller port.
Why are you training at 2 in the morning at a show? Someone else said because that's when the arena is free.
that is exactly true. Why are you training at 2 in the morning for a show? Because that's when you can get in the arena. The shows goes on for usually 8 in the morning to whenever the show ends. So you only get to ride in the arena you're showing in the middle of the night. So yeah, that's when you can get in the arena. And you go to the bigger shows, the futurities, the derbies, the NRBC, they're actually going to assign you warm-up times in a certain arena. And those warm-ups go all through the night. So you've got to ride when your warm-up time is. That's part of it. That's when you get in the arena.
You're at 55 minutes and I think
Okay.
that's all good.
Okay. So I'm done bathing him. I need to clean up his face a little bit. I'll actually do that tomorrow before I put him in the trailer because he'll get it dirty eating hay and feed. And I appreciate everybody interacting and giving me the questions and a lot of good topics to talk about. And I know we couldn't get to all the questions. I'll try to go back and answer as many of them as I can. This is Bob. I'll try to get some video of the show this weekend, and we'll talk about how everybody did, and I'll try to get a little bit of video and pictures, and I'll put a link up here to Bob's playlist. Until next time, thank you for watching. You got to stop.